Welcome everybody to the Kaput Centre Interdisciplinary Colloquium series. This is the first speaker of the year, and I'm going to introduce our speaker, Dr. Chevrier from Grenoble in France. It is a great pleasure and honour to introduce Joel, who I had not met before until 2 days ago. And it's very exciting to see, again, some of our graduate students, but some of our new graduate students here in the PhD program. And thank you to those of you who are also tuning in online. Or will be listening to the video afterwards. It should be uploaded in the next few days. So to give you a little bit of a background on Joel, he's a professor of physics at the University Chevrier of Grenoble. One of his present major interests as a teacher is the use of new instruments and new technologies to introduce a broad audience to science and technology. His current research in physics is based on instrument developments in scanning probe microscopy. He teaches courses on nanophysics, sensors and actuators, and scanning probe microscopy. He heads a research activity group in nanomechanics at the Institut Neil CNRS, which is the national research unit in France. He might tell you a little bit more about how that operates. Very interesting, in contrast to how research is conducted here in the States. He was a research vice president of the University of Chevrier, in charge of engineering, physical sciences and nanosciences from 2007 to 2010, and currently he holds a very important position as well, in addition to his duties as professor, as Deputy of Education Vice President of the Chevrier Institute in charge of scientific culture and involved in partnerships, university and lycée partnerships. So that's a little bio of our speaker. It has been a great pleasure to receive Joel to the Kaput Centre. He has been here this is his second day, and he will be here tomorrow as well. So he has made a part of his trip here a longer stay, not just to hear the talk. He has been interacting with many of you, many of the faculty and the students. The discussions have been lively and engaging, and that was just dinner last night. But he's very impressed with the work that's going on here, and I hope the discussions can continue today and tomorrow. And so I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Chevrier. Welcome, and pass this over. He will be happy to take short questions, and if he thinks they're longer questions, he'll move it towards the end.
Okay, so starting by saying that this is the first slide. Actually, I just wanted to have that so that I can say that the title is really Development of a Teaching Sequence on Nanotechnology, documented by the analysis of controversies, as it was written everywhere. So this is another way of saying something equivalent in my mind. And before I start, I have to say two things to say. First, thank you very much. Thank you to Stephen, to the Kaput Centre, for welcoming me these 3 days. I really, so far, enjoyed very much. I'm sure today, later, and tomorrow again. I very much enjoyed interaction, speaking with people, and being here. It was a good pleasure. The second thing I have to say is that, as usual, the important person in this talk is there, and this is Bénédicte Ingon. Bénédicte Ingon she is a physicist after education. Now she's entering physics education through a PhD. And what I'm going to present is essentially the results, key results, not all, but key results of the PhD work. And she's going to defend the PhD end of this year, beginning of next year, something in January. So Bénédicte Ingon did the job, the work. Virginie Albe, she is also She was educated as a physicist, and now she is professor of physics education in Paris. And all I know, because in the group here, I am the physicist, as you heard from my CV. And I've been working with these two persons for the last 4 or 5 years, something like this. And what I know about physics education, so that I dare to present something today, still being a physicist, is thanks to Virginie and to Benedict and to the lab here. That's called Science, Technology, Education, essentially. So that's the name of the lab, and Virginie is the deputy director of this lab. Okay, so having emphasized the fact that I'm not working alone, and by far I would not be able to do this work. So what's the key question we entered here, as many people, well, I read that on screen, it's going to be better. When you look at nano education, the way you can interfere with people at high school or young students, then not us, you find always, very often, this goal saying, what do we want to do? Well, we want to introduce the students to aspects that are linked with nanotechnologies that are more and more around us in terms of application, that has consequences, that has advantage, discussion, and that sort of thing. So how do we do that at school? How do we define, that's the title, a pedagogical sequence, so that we can help these students and help the teachers to teach the students so that they can enter this discussion. And that's the key point in what I'm going to present. So before entering directly that, what Benedict did is to have a look and do a review of literature, so that, in my words, I would say, where are we starting from? What's the nanotechnology when we want to go to the school and explain something to students? And how it's seen by people like you, I would say, and some of you have been collaborating with people that are for us important in this definition. You'll see that all along the references. So we start with just seeing that, of course, 2 key points are nanotechnology are the things that you cannot see. So scales, very small things that we are looking at. And the way then we work at these scales so that we have application at large scale, at our scale. And then, of course, there's been new properties that are used and that tailored at the short scale. Say that. I'm very comfortable in saying that as a physicist, but now I come to the other side and I say, well, what's the definition of nanotechnology for people? And you would say, following Wink, no consensus on definition. You have so many things involved in nanotechnologies. So take it as it is. So, and you see that in the choice of keywords, yeah? So the method that's very classical, I believe, is that you gather articles and they try to define the corpus you're going to work with. You make choice and you focus when you make choice on the fact that you're going to use that for secondary education. So the method, when we look at this corpus and the literature selected, then 2 questions in mind. What do we select in nanotechnologies when we think about secondary education? Which results do we consider? So that's something that has to come up out of this review of literature. 4 aspects that we find, and I'll be rather brief on that, because if I enter that into detail, that it would be endless. But we were working with 4 points in mind. Preliminary question answered. How do we consider nanotechnology? What do we see in that? I'll come then to these studies about students' conception. Not to detail them. Well, I'm not doing a course. Yeah, it's a seminar. Just to say that we have that in mind, and it's a crucial point in what we're doing. Another thing that we've been talking about, at least the way I serve it, is what are the importance of the new tools that are involved in nanotechnology.